as promised, a review of the Zombie Tools Ferrous Wolf, which they do not make anymore, but I just bought from the same private collector that I bought my first generation Deuce from. Comes with a Kydex sheath, as always, and I've already rigged it up to hang on a belt. It hangs pretty straight, just like that. Nothing real fancy, but used the paracord and tied the excess around in a little pattern there. I don't know, I like it. But this thing is, let me think, 34-ish inches long with a ground fuller. Let me get my tape measure and examine this. 34 and 5/8. This model. And if you follow Zombie Tools, you might know that they've suspended production of this blade, and they're in design of a newer, bigger, badder version, which should be awesome, but will probably be very hard to get your hands on because it'll be expensive and they'll make very few of them. But this thing is just magnificent. I mean, I think it weighs in at like 3 pounds or something, but it really doesn't feel like it because of the balance. Let me see where the balance is exactly. Right there. Yes. It has the aluminum hilt and the leather wrap, as all the other ZT blades do, but then it also has these steel pieces on the crossguard, which is new to Zombie Tools, sort of, and the pommel, which is certainly something that I've not seen on really any other Zombie Tools. I mean, the curves on this blade are just magnificent, and it's a great cutter. It's also made of 1/4 inch 5160 spring steel, hardened and tempered to, I think they claim 53 on the Rockwell C scale, which, I mean, I have no reason to challenge that. It seems pretty reasonable. It's a good hardness for a blade, and it's real springy. I mean, it's just great. It's a fairly squarish hilt. It's not terrifically wide, but it's pretty thick. And they didn't round the edges of the aluminum a whole lot, but it feels really solid in your hand, and I really like that. There's only really space for one hand. I mean, you could put a hand on top of your other hand if you really needed some extra oomph to it, but I'd recommend just being a strong guy with a good swinging arm for using this thing. I mean, it's definitely not quite as easy and simple to chop and use as the Deuce, but it's a beautiful, beautiful blade. I really like the acid etch on this. It looks almost camouflage-like, but I mean, I don't know exactly how they achieve their acid etches. I don't know what techniques they use exactly. And this fuller, the fuller, which is this is the only blade that they've made so far with a fuller, and it's just ground in beautifully. It's perfectly straight, and it tapers toward the end, as does the whole blade. It's roughly 1 inch wide here, and it's, I think, 1 inch 7/8 at the rear. These aren't the best calipers, but they usually work all right. Yeah, about 1 inch 7/8, roughly. Double-edged, sharpened on both edges, with this pretty much the same vicious, piercing point. Very strong point. Not stupendously, steeply, sharply ground, but more ground kind of like that. So it's not hugely sharp. You won't be at as much risk of accidentally cutting yourself, but if you decide to stab through something, it will smash through, and it will not damage the tip at all. It's a great tip design, really, which I haven't seen on anything else. Blade is wonderfully straight, as could be expected. Their heat treat process seems to be without issue, at least to the best of what I've seen, and this is just a beautiful blade. I mean, I am so happy that I was able to get my hands on one of these. I didn't expect Whenever they said they weren't making them anymore, I really did not expect that I'd ever be able to, but this has been a great opportunity. Not a cheap one, but a great opportunity, and I'm absolutely and so grateful that I've been able to get my hands on one of these. Slides nicely into the teeth. There's no retention on this one, but there doesn't really need to be. This is really more of a straight up and down kind of thing, and it's not. It might bounce up out of the sheath a little bit if you're running real fast, but it's never going to slide out. There's no chance of that. So that's it for this review. I guess I'll show you my new enlarged family of ZT blades. Got the deuce. This was the first, and now these have joined the family. The Zakasushi, the first generation deuce, and the Ferrous wolf, which this is really the prize blade in my collection, I would say. If I had to pick one blade that I valued above all others, it would be this one. It is just a magnificent, beautiful sword. Not to say that there's anything wrong with the Zakasushi or the first generation deuce, but I mean, they're just all just different swords. No two swords are the same. Certainly not in design. Oh crap, it's kind of been out of frame that whole time. Whoops, sorry. I'm not the best videographer, even after, what is this, like 3 years of doing it? Closing in on 4 now. Let's do a little. Whee! That's the Zakasushi. The first generation deuce, which is a beast of a chopper. 36 inches. Whew, it's just mean. And then the Ferrous wolf herself. And the sheaths. Anyway, have a great day.